What's up, fellow Shadow Priests? Today we're talking about what makes a Shadow Priest good in Arena, and I'm not just talking about the class itself, I'm talking about what would you expect from a rank 1 caliber or very experienced Shadow Priest. So we're going to talk a little bit about the playstyle, some things you should be looking to do from game to game. We're going to talk a lot about our utility spells and how to properly use them to help our team. Shadow Priest, in my opinion, is a support class, and we generally do things to help our teammates. We do have windows where maybe we could score a kill by ourselves, but for the most part, we're generally trying to either help our team set up a kill or stop the enemy team from scoring a kill, and there's plenty of ways to do that, so let's jump right into it. Let's quickly talk about what our utility spells are as a Shadow Priest. When I think of utility, I think of Mass Dispel, I think of Leap of Faith, Life Grip, Shadow Mend, all of our CCs, so Stun, Silence, and Fear, and then also Life Swap if you're playing it, and Power Word Shield, why not? So we have all of these abilities to either, like I said, help our team score a kill or prevent our team from dying. So let's take a look at the cooldowns of the enemy team right now. They have not used Combustion. I know that because I think I'm tracking it here. They have not used Smoke Bomb, and I know that just because I haven't seen it and the game just started. And what has my team used? Well, I haven't Trinketed or Dispersed or Faded, so I'm a pretty bad target for them, but my Warrior has Trinketed. In the opener, this team went at my Shaman, my Warrior Trinketed to peel them, completely shut them down, but now he is vulnerable. In my mind, I already know what they want to do. I've used to play RMP, I fought against RMP a million times. When they see someone doesn't have Trinket, they get a huge boner and they just want to kill that target. So I'm already communicating in advance, the next time you get stunned, I'm going to Life Grip you. And I'm probably going to get CC'd, so that means I'm going to have to Trinket and Life Grip. But that is better than my Warrior dying in a Smoke Bomb where my Shaman can't Spirit Link him or heal him, and I can't Life Swap him. So let's see how this one plays out. I get stunned, I see it coming, Rogue's coming over to him, Shadow Steps. As soon as I see that stun on him, I Trinket and Grip. Immediately. I know what I have to do, and I do it. So that's one example of how we kept our team alive, and maybe we can just scooch forward and see what the next objective is. So anytime my Shaman gets CC'd, immediately I'm going to wonder if I can Mass Dispel. And if we take a look at this situation here, we see the Rogue is right here, who has just Shadow Step, so he has no mobility to get to me. The Mage doesn't have Counterspell. The Priest doesn't have Fear. It's very likely that I get this Mass Dispel off. And even if I, for some reason, get kicked by the Rogue, I could immediately start spamming Shadow Mend on my Warrior, and then as soon as that lockout is over, I could recast the MD. As long as my Shaman gets out of that first sheep, and I stop the resheep from happening, if my Shaman gets out, he will then be able to use his utility spells of Grounding and Wind Shear to avoid getting sheeped more, get a couple heals off, and then if they do end up sheeping him again, it won't really matter because he will have topped the Warrior off in that time. Right, here's another game, pretty similar situation. We're playing against Feral Mage, and it's kind of similar to Rogue Mage. Generally, anytime they stun the Warrior, they're going to be looking to unleash their burst damage, so the Feral is going to dump his energy, he's going to do Ferocious Bites, the Mage is going to use his Fire Blast, like they're going to always save their damage for the stun, so this is really the only time I need to play defensively and think defensively and kind of think like a healer. So if you can identify these situations in the game where you need to start doing things defensively because things can happen so fast if you don't react in time, or maybe you're focused on your damage and you don't get a Mass Dispel or a Shadow Mend off, it can be really the difference between winning or losing. So let's play the video here, see what goes down. My Pally just faked CS and he's about to get polyed here. I'm pumping Shadow Mends into my Warrior right now just to try to get him topped off before the CC chain starts. As soon as that Polymorph lands though, I'm going to be looking to use my Mass Dispel because I know that they have no interrupts looking down at my interrupt bar. And as soon as I get this, boom, I'm already turning around using the rest of my utility to try to set up a kill here. So I instantly silence the Paladin's Divine Favor. After the Mass Dispel, I purge it off so he loses the value of that heal. Unfortunately, since I just did so many Shadow Mends or did a Shadow Mend, Mass Dispel, and some purges, I didn't have enough mana to do my mind games. I'm also going to use my stun here to stop the clone of my Feral because this is going to enable us to get a Repentance onto the Paladin. Now typically you would think that it's so scripted that we just always stun the healer into silence, but you don't always have to do it that way. If you can use your utility to stop someone else from landing a CC, it could be really game changing, because now what's going to happen is my pally is going to get the repentance off, the feral isn't healing during this period, and we're going to be able to force more cooldowns. So we get the sacrifice out of the paladin, not a big deal because we didn't really commit too many damage cooldowns there. It was just truly the repentance that he was afraid of. So I get cloned, the feral starts spamming regrowth, and that's what we were afraid of before, is someone being cycloned and the feral spam healing. So here comes a similar situation. Looks like our pally is going to get CC'd here. I'm going to cast the massive spell this time. I try to juke it, get kicked. It's okay. Look, I do one decently chunk of a Shadow Mend. It's only 5k HP, but again, it could be the difference between living or dying sometimes. Massive spell my pally. He gets a heal off, but then gets re-polyed. That's a-okay here. Looks like we're going to survive this go. Paladin dispels my dot, so I mind games the feral as soon as possible. This is going to make any damage he does heal my warrior, so even his bleeds will be healing my warrior at this point. The pally won't be able to dispel it, and it's going to have pretty good uptime here. I think it's actually really underrated to use mind games this way. If you can get it off while someone is bursting, you're going to prevent that like 10k damage or so from your teammate and actually convert it to healing. I get dispelled out of a polymorph. I see the mage repulling me, so Shadow Word Death, and I'm instantly looking to go torture this paladin with the rest of my utility. So I purge his Divine Favor, doored over to him, feared him, pop PI, Damnation. All my dots are rolling on this feral. He's running away from me. I'm not going to be able to chase him. The best thing to do for me is just to plant here and mind control him, because I know that I won't get interrupted. The feral doesn't want to come back to my line, and my paladin actually gets him with a judgment at the end there to finish him off. I think this is a pretty good example of kind of swapping between going defensive and then going offensive, right? You want to generally not do them both at the same time. You don't want to be like doing a kill setup while your partner is stunned. You generally want to help him survive through the attack, and then you can get back in there and start PvPing. So let's get back to what makes a good Shadow Priest. Well, every time we do our kill attempt, in other words, every time we go for our CC and we sling out a mind games, are we actually getting it off, and does it amount to anything? Against this team in particular, we need to be really careful with the way we use our CC. If I CC the paladin and then I start casting mind games on the shaman, but all of a sudden I get grounded and sheared or spell locked or reflected, it's really going to be pitiful for us. We're going to have to keep going and maybe wait another minute for another chance at doing it. So we want to set it up as clean as possible so that I do not get interrupted and we get guaranteed damage off. It's better to control people so they can't interrupt you than it is to sit there and fake cast over and over again. So against this team, we're going to do something that's a little less traditional. We're not just going to stun the healer into silence during our CC attempt. We're going to stun the healer and silence the lock. Now I just put my Damnation on the Ellie, so he's primed up already. Stun the pally, going to silence the lock real quick, and then I instantly get my mind games off on the shaman. Had I not silenced the lock here, I have to deal with faking counterspell, and then by the time I fake the counterspell, or if I don't fake it, the shaman's orc, so his stun only lasts 2 seconds. He's going to come out, he's going to drop grounding, he's going to shear me, and he already dropped the grounding, but my mind games went off. So good for us. We get Hand of Sacrifice here and Trinket from the Paladin, and that was only a 4-second CC chain, right? If we do our burst properly and we line it up with our teammates, you don't really need that much CC to kill. So in this comp, we're just looking to do really bursty setups. We force Trinket and Sack. My DH is letting me know that he's got tons of damage ready, and as soon as the shaman's off stun DR, we can push in and murder him. So I'm doing a good job, I think, keeping my damage up, spamming Void Bolt, trying to shove as much damage as possible, because that is also what makes a good Shadow Priest. You got to actually do damage. You can't just sit there and mass spell your healer over and over again, because if you don't do damage, you'll never kill the enemy team. And I think there's a lot of Shadow Priests that struggle with doing damage. If you have issues with damage, definitely check out the damage guide video that we made. It's just like a very beginner, helpful video to help you on your DPS rotation. One thing I really want to emphasize towards the end of this video is that you need to have supreme all-knowing awareness of your healer, and if they're in CC, if they're out of position, if they're interrupted, what cooldowns they have. We need to be very frequently in communication with our healer, and ideally your healer is communicating with you as well when they're CC'd. I'm generally going to look at my raid frames a lot to see incoming CC. My warrior's cloned, that means I can't get intervened, I'm stunned, I can't disperse, or sorry, I can't fade. I can disperse if I need to, but generally I'm going to be looking to use fade before dispersion. So the Feral walks up to the Shaman. He gets a pounce on him. Now, my healer CC'd. We can do like a little rundown on the checklist. Can I Mass Dispel him? Well, he's stunned. It's a physical thing. I can't MD. They have 2 kicks anyway, so MD isn't really going to be too effective here. The best thing I could do is to life grip my Shaman and get him away from this trap. The Hunter always wants to trap out of stun. We see the trap gets released. Let's see if we can spot it in the air. Here it is. The trap is going to squiggle onto my Shaman, but I'm going to grip him over here onto me to avoid the trap. Even if he didn't shoot the trap there, he would have a hard time trapping when the Shaman's right on top of me as well. So I'm going to be able to survive this go just using Fade. And then as soon as we get that stop on their kill attempt, we're going to instantly look to counter regress. So my warrior comes out of CC, I silence the priest, my game's the Feral, and we're looking to pump out as much damage as possible. I'll also fear the priest at the last possible second, full mind games duration, void form, and we dump out our PvE rotation into him here, looking to purge those rapture shields. If they run away, just hit the next best target, get maximum value out of your damage, especially against Disc Priest teams. You can really win on mana, so if you cleave them, the better it is for your team, for sure. The priest is always a viable kill target. If they're ever just like stuck in the middle of the map, you can kind of harass them. I'm mind flaying the priest, so he can't push up for fear. It looks like they're going back onto me here, so I need to play defensively again. What's happening? My Shaman is CC'd, right? He's trapped. I don't have life grip, so I can't grip him away from the fear, but I do have more utility. My silence just came off cooldown, and as soon as my Shaman is about to get out of that trap, the priest is going to fear because they don't want any gap in the fear. If he gets out, he can tremor. So I'm going to look to silence this priest basically towards the end of the trap, but not at the very end because we want to stop that fear. So I silence the priest here. Very obvious that this fear is coming, by the way. It's super predictable if you're watching your healer. If you have supreme all-knowing awareness, you can always protect. So I protect here, and we're going to live to see another go, hopefully. It's kind of sketchy here because the Hunter's popping his cooldowns and I have to deal with 2 interrupts, so maybe it wasn't the best use of my CC here. We're still going to force them on the back end, although I would have liked to have more damage during that CC chain. The mind games gets dispelled pretty quick, which is kind of a bummer, but now it's time to play defensively again. I see my healer's in a trap. There's an interrupt up. I have to fake it. I don't fake it, and I'm going to be forced to disperse here. Can't really shadow mend because I had that mind games on me too, so it's all good. We're going to look to counter aggress. As soon as their go is over, it's our time to shine. Everyone is running away from me, and the only target I can really hit is the priest, and at this point, the priest is looking pretty juicy. I mean, they're not even anywhere near me. I'm just free casting. They're swapping over to my warrior here, and this is when I'm going to kick in that defensive gameplay again. So what am I going to do? I can't really do anything other than shadow mend at this point. Life gripping him doesn't do too much. I'd really rather save that for the trap or like a fear or something. If I grip him away, the Feral will probably just get back to him instantly. So the best thing I can do would be to start shadow mending in this situation. And I know I have to shadow mend because my warrior's stunned and my shaman's kicked. So this is shadow mend 101. Start pumping those off heals. I heal him for 6k, do another one for 6k. So that's like 2 6.5ks. That's 13k HP. Not bad. Priest is in the middle of the map. Silence the heal. The Feral's running away from me. I decide, fuck it, I've had enough of this. Void form, mind games, priest dies. And simple as that. So just swapping between that defensive and offensive mindset. You always got to be able to identify those situations where you're about to take damage. I think we've covered defensive play pretty well, but what makes a good kill attempt? We already did talk about cross EC, but what about damage, right? If we're doing our stun and silence and we're not in void form and we don't get a mind games off, we're basically going to do nothing. So an ideal situation is going to be what happens right here. We get a silence on the healer into a sheep. Mind games are right while we're in void form. Mass dispel the bubble, void bolt, shadow word death, and we get that W. Kind of wanted to pop an example of what like a shitty kill attempt looks like. I have my CC up, I do my stun and my silence, but my warrior has no stun, he can't even connect to the mage, and we get the mage to a whopping 99% during our CC chain. So if I look back, was that effective? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Hell no. And in the future, we're going to look to just line up that CC with our warrior a lot better. We want this mage to have no shields. We don't want him to be able to press any buttons, so we're going to stun him potentially even silence him if we get CC on the Paladin. But here we go. Double Fear. Trying to set up the damage here, fake the CS, mind games, and that's just the obligatory mind games caught. We had some games with Hansel earlier in the video, but he had to go down there. Alright, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone who's been supporting the stream. Whether it's a Twitch Prime or a follow or a hello, it definitely helps us out. We're trying to get partnered on Twitch, so, anything helps. Definitely follow it if you haven't already. And let me know what you guys want to see next in terms of the YouTube content. Definitely have some more time to be working on some videos next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, make sure to join the Discord as well if you have any questions on comps or strategies or anything Shadow Priest related. There's a ton of people active in there, and we look forward to chatting with you soon.